There is a quiet moment in every person's life when they realize they are not being taken seriously. Perhaps you've been there. You speak, but people barely listen. You share ideas and they are dismissed. You watch others command a room effortlessly while you struggle to gain attention. It hurts, not because you crave fame or flattery, but because it feels as if your presence carries no weight. Respect is not a gift that others hand out freely. It is not owed to us simply because we exist. It is earned through the way we think, the way we act, and the way we carry ourselves when no one is watching. And more importantly, it is something we can easily lose if we adopt the wrong habits. The ancient Stoics understood this long before the age of social media, where likes and approval seemed to dictate worth. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor philosopher, warned that we should not let ourselves become slaves to other people's opinions. Epictetus taught that no man is free unless he masters himself. Seneca urged us to stop complaining about life's difficulties and instead rise to meet them with courage. Today, I want to take these timeless lessons and apply them to our modern lives. There are 5 behaviors that, if you practice them constantly, will quietly drain you of respect. Not just the respect of others, but your own self-respect. The tragedy is that most people do these things every single day, often without realizing it. This essay is not meant to shame you, but to wake you up. If you can stop doing these 5 things, even partially, you will feel a deep transformation. You will stop being invisible. You will stop being dismissed. You will start walking through life with a quiet power that others cannot ignore. Let's go through each one, not just to understand it, but to replace it with something better. 1. Seeking constant validation, the invisible trap, why we crave validation. Human beings are social creatures. For millions of years, our survival depended on belonging to a group. Being cast out meant certain death. That ancient fear still lingers, which is why disapproval can feel so threatening. We want to be liked. We want applause, smiles, thumbs up. The dopamine hit of someone affirming us is powerful, almost addictive. But here's the paradox. The more you chase approval, the less respect you earn. People can sense desperation. They can feel when someone is tailoring every word, every action to please them. And rather than admiring that person, they often lose interest. Respect is given to those who seem centered and grounded, not those who are constantly asking, do you like me? Did I do well? Do I fit in? The cost of living for others. When validation becomes the compass for your decisions, you lose authenticity. You may laugh at jokes you don't find funny, stay silent when you disagree, or spend your life doing work that doesn't fulfill you just to avoid disappointing others. Over time, this erodes your identity. Worse, it makes you emotionally fragile. Your sense of worth rises and falls based on how people react to you. A single criticism can ruin your day, even if 90 people praised you before that. This is no way to live. The Stoic remedy, Marcus Aurelius's words are worth repeating. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. The Stoic solution is to turn inward. Instead of asking, do they approve? Ask, did I live according to my values today? This subtle shift moves you from begging for respect to quietly earning it. You can start small. The next time you make a decision, notice if you are doing it primarily to avoid disapproval. Then, ask yourself if the decision aligns with your own principles. If not, be willing to risk someone's frown in order to stay true to yourself. Respect will follow. Maybe not instantly, but eventually. 2. Letting emotions control you. Becoming a slave to impulse, the power of emotional mastery. Think about the last time you lost your temper. Maybe you shouted at someone you care about. Maybe you sent an angry email you later regretted. In that moment, you were not in control. Your emotions were. And though the emotional outburst might have felt satisfying for a second, it probably cost you trust, credibility, and respect. This doesn't mean you should suppress emotions or pretend you are a robot. Stoicism is not about being cold or numb. It is about developing the ability to respond, not react. A person who has mastered their emotions can feel anger, grief, fear, or excitement, but still choose their next step deliberately. Uncontrolled emotions and respect. Uncontrolled anger makes you volatile and unpredictable. People begin to walk on eggshells around you, not out of respect, but out of fear. Uncontrolled fear makes you hesitant and indecisive, which erodes confidence others have in you. Uncontrolled sadness can make you withdraw so much that people stop relying on you. Respect grows when people know you will act from reason rather than impulse. They trust you to be steady even when life is chaotic. How to train emotional strength. One of the most effective exercises is what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Each morning, visualize challenges you might face: someone cutting you off in traffic, a coworker criticizing you, plans falling through. Mentally rehearse staying calm and choosing a rational response. When the real moment comes, you will be less likely to be thrown off. Another practical tool: pause before you respond. Count to 10. Breathe deeply. Write your first reaction down on paper instead of saying it out loud. These small pauses create space between stimulus and response, the space where respect is built. 3. Making excuses, the habit that chains you. The allure of excuses. Excuses feel safe. They protect your ego in the short term. I didn't succeed because the timing wasn't right sounds easier than I didn't prepare enough. I failed because others were unfair is easier than I made poor choices. But every excuse you make becomes a chain that holds you where you are. You cannot grow beyond the problems you refuse to own. Why excuses destroy respect. Nobody respects someone who blames everyone else for their failures. Even if your excuses are true, repeating them often makes you look powerless. People admire those who take responsibility even in unfair circumstances because it shows inner strength. Seneca put it perfectly. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. Excuses are simply a way to avoid daring. Taking ownership. A powerful exercise is to replace every excuse with the phrase, I am responsible. Even if circumstances were outside your control, take responsibility for how you responded to them. Did you learn from it? Did you prepare better next time? This mindset transforms failure into fuel for growth. When you start owning outcomes, people notice. They trust you more because they know you will not hide behind convenient stories. And ironically, your own respect for yourself increases. You start to see yourself as someone who is capable of growth rather than a victim of fate. 4. Embracing complacency. The slow death of potential, why comfort is dangerous. Most people think losing respect comes from dramatic mistakes, betrayal, lying, incompetence, but one of the most common causes is simply becoming stagnant. When you stop growing, when you stop challenging yourself, you slowly lose the sharpness that made you admirable in the first place. Complacency whispers, you've done enough, you can relax now. And while rest is healthy, permanent rest leads to decline. Just as muscles shrink without use, so does character without challenge. How complacency shows up. You may notice you are no longer curious about learning new things. You stop setting goals. You tell yourself, this is just the way things are now. Life becomes a series of habits and routines, but no adventures, no growth. Others can see it. Your energy feels dull. Your ideas are stale. You no longer inspire those around you because you no longer inspire yourself. The Stoic call to growth, Marcus Aurelius wrote, what stands in the way becomes the way. Obstacles are not excuses to stop. They are invitations to grow. Respect comes from continually refining yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically. Take inventory. Which areas of life have you been neglecting? Is there a skill you've been meaning to learn? A fear you've been avoiding? Make it your mission to step toward that discomfort. Growth is rarely glamorous. It is sweaty, awkward, and often frustrating. But when you keep at it, the result is character, and character commands respect. 5. Talking more than you act. The credibility killer. The seduction of empty talk. It feels good to talk about our plans. Telling others about our goals gives a false sense of progress, like we've already accomplished something simply by announcing it. But when you talk too much and act too little, people eventually stop believing you. Words are cheap. Action is the currency of respect. The consequences of over-talking. Every time you promise something and fail to follow through, you weaken your presence. People start ignoring you, not because they dislike you, but because they have learned that your words carry little weight. This habit can even harm your self-image. When you repeatedly say you'll do something but don't, you begin to see yourself as unreliable. That eats away at your confidence. Choosing action over words. The simplest solution is to talk less and do more. Surprise people with results rather than announcements. If you must share your plans, share them with someone who will hold you accountable rather than simply applaud you. Remember the Stoic principle: character is fate. Your character is revealed by what you repeatedly do, not by what you promise. Putting it all together, these 5 habits: seeking validation, losing emotional control, making excuses, settling into complacency, and talking without acting form a pattern. They reinforce each other. The good news is that breaking one often helps break the rest. When you stop seeking validation, you stop fearing rejection so much, which allows you to take more action. When you master emotions, you stop making excuses because you are no longer controlled by fear or anger. When you choose growth over complacency, you have more real accomplishments to talk about and less need to exaggerate. Practical roadmap for building respect. Here's a simple weekly practice you can try. Monday, internal validation. Write in a journal: what do I respect about myself today? Focus on actions, not feelings. Tuesday, emotional awareness. Notice one emotional trigger and practice delaying your reaction. Wednesday, ownership audit. Write down one area where you made excuses and reframe it as your responsibility. Thursday, growth challenge. Do one thing that scares you or feels uncomfortable, even if small. Friday, silent action. Work on a project quietly without announcing it to anyone. Reveal it only when complete. Weekend, reflection. Review the week. Notice where you grew, where you slipped, and what you learned. If you repeat this for even a month, you will notice a subtle shift. You will walk a little taller. Your words will carry more weight. People will listen when you speak, not because you demanded respect, but because you earned it. Conclusion: becoming someone who commands respect. Respect is not about being loud, intimidating, or dominant. True respect is quiet. It radiates from the inside out. It is the look of someone who knows who they are, who can master themselves, who keeps promises, who continues to grow, who acts more than they talk. If you recognize yourself in any of these 5 habits, don't despair. Recognizing the problem is the first step to changing it. The journey towards self-respect and respect from others is not about perfection, but progress. Each day you choose authenticity over approval, calm over impulse, responsibility over excuses, growth over comfort, and action over talk. You move closer to becoming the kind of person people naturally admire. And perhaps most importantly, you become the kind of person you admire. That is the foundation of all lasting respect.